Mr. Marston, Mr. Smith, Mr. McGuire, ha! Get over there. When she slows, order.
And you?
I'm gonna make sure she slows.
Let's do or die with you. I like it.
Get moving. Here she comes.
What's going on here? What's going on?
Nothing good.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. My name is Edson Ochoa, and apparently Zoom is like, I don't want to break anybody's screens, so it's not displaying my camera for some reason. But guys, welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. My name is Edson Ochoa, one of the co-hosts of the show. Hope you all had an amazing couple of weeks since we've been gone. I know it's been a while, and I do want to apologize for that, but my new job has been pretty hectic the last couple of weeks. So that's why it's kind of been pretty irregular. But hopefully, now that that is behind us, hopefully that we can return to our regular scheduled programming of every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Before we get to all of the credits and all of the thank yous, I do want to present our co-host, Jacob Young. Jacob, how are you doing, bro?
Yeah, doing fantastic. It has been a while for sure, but hey, great to be back and ready to talk about some soccer from, of course, last Wednesday and this upcoming Saturday. Should be fun.
Yeah, definitely. I know we have a lot to talk about. Let me change it to gallery in the meantime and then change it. No, apparently, unless I, anyway, that's very interesting. See if you can turn on and off your video. Maybe that'll fix it. But anyway, guys, thank you all. I do want to go ahead and let y'all know and thank the Beautiful Game Network for all of their support. Be sure to check out all of not only our podcasts, but also all of the USL podcasts to go ahead and check it out on bgn.fm. You can find us. You can find Mix Zone. You can find Backchat Show, USL Show. All of the USL shows you can check. You can find them there. Because be sure to check out their sponsors, Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC, and of course, our personal sponsor, Natural Beauty Spa. And of course, I do want to give a huge thank you to everybody that is a Patreon. I want to, Santos, Javier, Eddie, Gilbert, Mike, man, there's a lot that I can't ever. Oh, obviously Harry. You've got Jeff. Thank you all for all of your support. And if you guys want to support us financially through Patreon, be sure to check out patreon.com/down in the RGV. You can check out all of the tiers that are available. And if you guys are interested, be sure to sign up for that. You get a lot of perks for being part of the Patreon family, which, by the way, everybody who's a patron that's watching right now, be sure to mark your calendars for July 28th. That will be our Patreon monthly show. So be sure to ask for the day off at work or something, or tell your wife or your girlfriend not to bother you for an hour. No, I'm just kidding, guys. No, but seriously, like, if you, it's available for y'all to talk, for everybody to talk about the Toros as a community. So be sure to check it out. And as well, be sure to also be on the lookout for all of my articles on the strikertexas.com. I have all the articles covering RGVFC, the game recaps, and I've got an interesting article that's in the works that hopefully soon I'll be able to actually get started on it. And it will be a good read for y'all. Remember, there is a 30-day free trial to check out all of the full premium access to the Striker Texas. So anyway, guys, it's good to be back. In summary, it's good to be back, and I need some water. But Jacob, tell us what you've been doing these last couple of weeks, while we were gone. I know you've been busy with soccer anyways and other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. For the past couple of weeks, let's see, you're covering FC Brownsville for that time in June, of course, and then there was RGVFC in general had a lot of Wednesday games, so we were doing that, and then of course, U.S. men's national team soccer has been a thing, especially the start of the Gold Cup as well. Trying to think of what else it was, but yeah, stuff like that. Able to do, which was fantastic, and yeah, just great to once again be back here talking more soccer. And of course, yeah, as well as a bit of work on the Wednesdays too, if I do recall. But yeah, it's been fun.
Well, guys, be sure to, I know there's a bunch of people on here. We got 4 viewers at this moment right now. So at any time, if you guys are enjoying this episode, be sure to give it a like. Be sure to share it with all your friends. Share it with your parents, your sister, your brother, your grandma, your dog, whatever. Yeah, let them know all about the Down in the Valley podcast. We're here to talk, like I said, as a community about the Toros. You can always participate in the YouTube chat as well as on Facebook chat as well. And so we're here to learn more about the Toros, especially now that I think people are starting to get a lot more hyped up about this team. The results are starting to come in. We are not in the top of the group right now. We're actually tied in points, but we lose to El Paso Locomotive with goal difference, and we also do have, I think, like 1 or 2 games in hand, or like a disadvantage over them. But we are fighting for the top of the table. This is something that we haven't seen since its inception, and so I think people are starting to warm up to the idea of supporting the Toros. I know when I went to the match against Rayados, there were a lot of Rayado fans at the team store buying Toros merch. So I think we're on the right path to that. But huge shout out right now to the chat. We've got Ray, South Texas Motorsports in the chat. We've got Mike Reyes, the vice president of the RGV Stampede, in the chat as well. He says, what's up, puro pinche Stampede. But guys, all right, let's get the show on the road. So, as you saw, the little intro video, we did defeat an undefeated El Paso Locomotive. I thought it was a good game. We ended up winning 3-2, even though at the end it looked like the Toros were kind of close to losing the lead, because El Paso had some chances. There was one particular. So Bobby, that's a good question. We'll take a quick minute to that. So Bobby asked, why are they selling other team jerseys in our team store? It all comes down to Puma. You know, at the end of the day, you had Rayados, who's a Puma team. You had Chivas, who's a Puma team. And I think Puma had a kind of like a directive to allow those team jerseys to be sold on the store, which at the end of the day is it's like a promotion for Puma for them, so it kind of benefits them. I don't know exactly why. I honestly didn't agree with that. I like the idea what they did with the Tigres match, where they had all those other Puma jerseys separate from the RGVFC team store. But at the end of the day, business is business, and Puma's the one with the money, you know. So they get a say in what how the team store works, and one of those things is selling Rayados and Chivas jerseys on our team store. But you know, que se puede hacer? You know, it's really nothing we can do. But like I said, at the end of the day, you know, there were a lot of Rayados, there was a lot of Chivas fans that were interested in buying Toros merch. So I think that also kind of helped them out a little bit. We'll see if that will actually reflect with people out in the stands as the season progresses. But so far, like I said, I think we're on the right path. Santos says, what's up, guys? Finally getting a chance to listen for a bit. Bradley Polonsky, who's going to be our guest for today from the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, will be on at 8 p.m. to talk about the upcoming match against Orange County SC. So be sure to stay till the end so you can get his point of view, our rival's point of view for Saturday's match. We got Gilbert as well in the chat. Yes, Ray, it's a Puma thing. Shame. Like I said, there's really nothing we can do. Why is Jacob being shown and not Edson who's doing the talking?
I'll take this because I'm just better than Edson. That's why.
Ouch! Ouch! You're coming into my room. You're with my permission, and you bring in that smack talk.
There
Respect.
you are.
Respect.
How about
respect? You gotta hand it to this guy. He's like comes into my house, my room, and starts with all this smack talk. That takes guts. That takes guts. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one, Jacob. But anyway, let's get back to talking about the Toros. So we're talking about El Paso Locomotive. At the end, there was an opportunity for El Paso to find that equalizer. I think it was around stoppage time, but you gotta hand it to Eric Pimentel. You know, he stretched as much as he could, made contact with the ball. I've criticized him. I'm not gonna lie. I've criticized Eric Pimentel because I feel like he hasn't performed to the level of what he was bringing, which is, you know, the experience and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that he's actually putting in a hustle, I can't deny that. And honestly, he has made some key saves in throughout the season that you got to hand it to him. At that in that particular aspect, he has brought in a lot for this Toros defense.
Yeah, you're not wrong there for sure. He has brought a lot of depth into the Toros defense, and we've seen it game in and game out. Yes, of course, he will give up some things, but when Pimentel is on it, he is definitely on it, and that was one of the biggest things of that game. Of course, I would have liked to see RGVFC not necessarily give up that second goal. The only problem as well is still, in my opinion, from that game, and even when we went back on the road, just RGVFC cannot find their rhythm that well in the first half. We saw them come back. We saw them score 3 goals, but all of that had to be done in the second.
I will tell you this, and I was talking to Nico Quintero of Azteca Valle about this because we were in the same press box. We were analyzing the game. And one of the things that struck me about that formation, because I think up on top you had Cerritos, you had Wen Hussein, and you had Christian Sorto. Now, remember, the Toros are playing without a true number 9 because Elvis Mo is injured, right. And Kyle Edwards was still at that time. He was still with the St. Vincent and the Grenadines national team. So we really didn't have a true number 9 on there. So we were playing kind of like a false 9 formation, you want yourself. But Here's the thing. What I did not like about that formation in the first half was that neither Cerritos nor Sorto actually made an attempt to go inside the box to kind of lure players away from marking. They just stood statically there, and there was no creativity in that final third. We really didn't have a lot of chances to score. Yeah, we scored we scored first, honestly, which really was, I think, a really good goal. But other than that goal by Carter Manley, and that was because El Paso, like, I don't know what happened. Their concentration just oh, they were distracted or something. I don't know what happened with El Paso, to be honest. But they left Carter Manley. They tried to go for an offside trap. But the guy that was near the corner trying to block that, I guess he didn't get the memo that they were going for the trap. So he kept Carter Manley onside without just 1-1 over against Logan Ketterer. And Carter Manley just, didn't have any pity, and he scored. But other than that, the Toros offense really wasn't that great. In the second half, you bring in Juan Carlos Azocar, you bring in Vicente Sanchez, and that changed the dynamic completely for the Toros offense. You saw a more lively Toros. You saw a more direct Toros. You saw Vicente Sanchez running into the box. And that opened up the spaces, especially you saw it in the second, I think when the third goal, you saw that evidence where Juan Carlos Azocar, by the way, that run he made, I got to hand it to him. The guy's a beast. And we were talking about it. I was talking about it last week, the fact that a lot of players, and I think we also touched upon it with the Striker Tejas podcast with Roberto Silva. And Roberto mentioned that, usually players, when they get fouled like that, especially after an NFL-style tackle, because let's be honest, that's what it looked like. Like, it looked like a full-on tackle from, like, I don't know, the O-line or something like that. Like, he was sacking Juan Carlos Azocar. But anyway, after that tackle, Juan Carlos Azocar doesn't stay on the ground or look at the ref and asking for the foul. Like, he just gets up straight away, continues to run with the ball, runs at full speed, then lowers his velocity to give Rodrigo Lopez and Vicente Sanchez the opportunity to catch up. And then you see Vicente Sanchez making a diagonal run towards the box, more towards his right side. And that attracted the mark from the other central defender, which left Rodrigo Lopez way open to just receive the ball and shoot it past Logan Ketterer. That's the kind of dynamic that I wish we could see more from this team. However, Gerson Echeverry did mention in the post-game conference, he said, the fact of the matter is Cerritos and Sorto's characteristics are more of a possession-based style of play, whereas Azocar and Vicente Sanchez are more direct, more attacking kind of play. But the contrast between those two play styles was just so evident in that game against El Paso.
Definitely. I mean, we once again go back to that goal that you were talking about, and that's the grit that I don't think we would have seen a couple of years ago or even last year. And that was, I think, the biggest play of the game in general for RGVFC to get that type of goal, to not necessarily fall back. And to your point, it's tough, because at one point we do see where this team is perfect at, and then at another point, when Wilmer decides to kind of change up the formation, then we start to see a little bit of where we struggle more at. And I think, of course, that gives credit to Wilmer Cabrera, that he can make that side of the tacticality better. Of course, their substitutes have been just unbelievable, because really, I think as long as And we saw this in our loss before. I don't think we even got to talk about the game before that. I think it was Tulsa, where they ended up losing to Tulsa Roughnecks.
Yeah.
Yes, I still call them that. I can't.
There we
not
go
call them
again.
that.
There we go again.
Like, I wasn't even trying there, and I just said it. But they lost to them. Vicente Sanchez started that game. And him, in my eyes, he's a Clint Dempsey. He's a guy that goes on for a super sub and then really changes the game. So when he's there, it's perfect.
Yeah, but so going back to the chat, because we've had Sloth says it's crazy, who, by the way, I met in person in the game between, what was it? Was it the Rayados game? No, I think it was the El Paso match. At the El Paso match, I met him in person. It was a pleasure to meet him. Great guy to talk to. But he says it's crazy how we don't even have a proper striker, and it's true. It's true. We don't really have a proper striker. All we have are just pretty much wingers. Now, I don't know if that's a little chink in the armor on the way the Tours prepared themselves. But then again, you got to remember they were pretty much rushing to get this roster built because of the how much little time that they had to prepare for the beginning of the season. But anyway. Mike says Cal Edwards should be back this game. And then he says, I hope to see Azocar and Edwards killing it. Oh, that would be great. That would be great to see him kill it. Gilbert says, I don't think we had that many players in the last 2 years who played that direct. Defense is great this year. And even though our offense isn't wild, they managed to get us points along with the defense. The problem is you can't, and I've said it before, and I think the games against Tulsa and Austin Bold, where they also lost, and many other games too. Don't get me wrong. And we'll talk about this upcoming match against Austin Bold. We're not upcoming, but the latest match that we played, because it was pretty much the same thing. The problem is you can't rely on your defense and your keeper too much to hold you up, because there will come games where Derek isn't on his game, or Dispe isn't on his game, or Pimentel, whatever, and you find yourselves on the back on the back foot, two goals like against FC Tulsa, and you don't score until 90-minute stoppage, because your accuracy was bad. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna say it bluntly, it was bad, horrible, and all the other synonyms that you can think of about that. And so, my point is, I think, yes, like Wilmer says, Wilmer's mentality has always been you can either be a good defensive team or a good offensive team. He says you can't be both. I disagree, but that's just me. I'm not a coach. I'm not licensed, so I can say something, and it might be completely wrong, But I do think that the offense needs to step up, and it all just starts just working on that shooting accuracy, because I think consistently throughout the season, yeah, we are almost at the top of the table in the Mountain Division. But this team could be so much better if it would just work on that shooting accuracy.
I mean, you said it best yourself. The shooting accuracy is where RGVFC have always hurt the most, because they can get all that possession. We can be a possession controlling team. But the name of the game, score more goals than the other team, or score equal amounts of goals than the other team to get yourself a point. The point being, RGVFC need to score. They need to have more than 3 shots on goal, which is just frustrating.
Yeah.
I think RGVFC, even though the last game that they won 3-2, I think maybe it was 4 shots or something like that, but 3 on target.
And if you can get him past the goalie, okay, that's fine. That's all we need.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you don't get it past the goalie. Like if you shoot it straight towards the keeper, yeah, it's a shot on target, but it doesn't go in. So I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. The team is great. The team is much better than the last couple of years. but it could be so much more. And I think I might be focusing on that too much, but at the end of the day, it's there. The statistics say that. And even Jerson Echeverry has acknowledged the issue that the team needs to work on their finishing, on their accuracy right in front of goal. So it's not just a me thing or a Jacob thing or a Ray thing. This is something that the technical team acknowledges. So, but anyway, let's move on forward to the game against Austin Bold at Circuit of the Americas. Bold Stadium.
Elroy, Texas, not Austin, Texas.
Thank you. Gilbert says RGV is 15th in shots and 10th in the league in goals.
Yeah, it's not, well, I take that back. 10th in the league in goals isn't too bad considering that there's about, 50 teams in the league is what it seems like.
Isn't it like 32?
Probably, but that's what it seems like. So that's not that bad, but we'd rather be top 5 in those categories than that to just show that, look, we're better than just 10th. We don't want to finish 10th in front of the whole league. We want to finish 4th or, of course, potentially 1st.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So moving on to the next match. So we have it was played last Wednesday at the same time as the Tigres versus Chivas game.
Yep.
I was there at the stadium watching the Tigres game, but I had on my trusty laptop, I had the Toros game, and I was mostly focused on the Toros match, to be honest. That just goes to show where my true allegiance is at this moment now. But let's take a look at the starting 11 for that match. So we had, you guys like the design. But anyway, we had trusty Tyler Derrick on the as the keeper, as always. You had, I know Ray and I were having a big discussion about this, and he'll probably put in the chat, what he was saying he thought the formation was in that match. But this is the way I saw it. So line of 5, Carter Manley as the right wing back, then line of 3 center defenders with Eric Pimentel, Arturo Dispe, and Roberto Alburquerque. Then the left wing back was Adrian Vera. 2 center defensive midfielders, or 2 center midfielders, I don't know how you want to call it, but 2 center midfielders with Juan David Cabezas being the more of the anchor of the team, staying back, helping defend whenever possible. Rodrigo Lopez continuing to be that box-to-box midfielder that he has been functioning under Wilmer Cabrera. Then in front of them too, you've got Wan Kuzain, once again with 2 wingers that were not as wide in this match. They were more, if you look at the average position on the USL Championship website, you can see that all 3 of them on average, they were pretty much around the same position around the field, with Christian Sorto and Juan Carlos Azocar. But right off the bat, what were your first impressions about this lineup?
When I saw the lineup, I thought that the lineup was good. Of course, like you said, Wan Kazan, it was a solid back line, or a solid front line, actually, with the 3 at front with Kuzan, Sorto, and Azocar. Of course, Azocar being the goal scorer, but before we even knew that he would end up scoring the goal, of course, with Verd, it just looked like a good team. And let's also remind ourselves this was RGVFC's 5th match in 7 days or something crazy like that, because they had game after game after game, basically, whether or not it was at home or on the road. So yeah, it just looked like that was going to be a good lineup, especially on the road, considering a 4-3-3 will always, well, not necessarily always, but it's going to be a good lineup.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was the best that we could come up with, considering the circumstance of not having a true number 9. Juan Carlos Azocar coming in with such a on fire, pretty much the last couple of games. I think it was very fair for him to have received the opportunity to be a starter for the Toros against Austin Bold on the road. And honestly, this game was pretty much very balanced. It was very balanced, both visually and statistically. I think there were some outliers that I think kind of made the difference as to what, continues to set the standard of what the Toros have been these past couple of games. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, possession is 51.5% on the Toros, 48.5% on Austin Bold. That's pretty much, it's pretty just almost par on par. Dual success rate, 52.7% for Austin Bold, 47.3% for RGV. 50% and 50% on aerial duels won. So on the air, it was pretty much like, it was a deadlock. It was a gridlock. Interceptions, 5 for the Bold, 4 for the Toros. But when you go into the attack, both of them had one goal. All right, obviously a 1-1 scoreline. But the Bold had 12 shots, 9 for the Toros. 3 shots on target for Austin, only 1 shot on target, which was the goal, by RGB. 6 shots from outside the box, 7 for Austin, 6 for the Toros. 5 shots inside the box for Austin, 3 for the Toros. Shooting accuracy, 25% for Austin, 11.1% for RGVSC. And then I know that that Gilbert was asking about shots on target throughout the whole season so far, including this past game. So the Toros have had 110 shots total, 43 on target. So you're talking about less than 50% of your shots actually on target. 17 goals scored, which means they're at a conversion rate of 15.5%.
Yep.
So it just continued the pretty much the parameter of how they've been so far in this season.
Yeah. And the craziest part is our record does not necessarily show that, which is just, I mean, it kind of shows how the Western Conference, the Western Mountain Division is. That's the proper term. Sorry, since we've gone to divisions now, but yeah, it is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The Toros just it is that type of balance, I guess. I'd like to see more from the Toros, actually getting stuff on target. Because you're talking about 8 outside the box and you're only getting 1 on. It's just, it's frustrating considering how that game went in general against Austin Bold, where Austin Bold are able to score first because of some lapses from the defense, which, yes, it was even, but you cannot take away the fact that RGVFC should have lost that game. If it's not for Tyler Derrick making that save, then RGVFC lose. Not to mention that it's just blatant, stupid giveaways almost every freaking time that allows for Austin to get on the board, that allows for El Paso to get on the board, that allows for Tulsa to get on the board. And just, it's frustrating. I know it's stupid to be that upset about how well RGVFC are doing. But to be fair, RGVFC needed that 3 points. They did not need that draw. They did not need to give up a goal on the road like that.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they did, because guess what? Austin Bold had beaten them at home before. Now Austin Bold come back home with technically 2 points in hand from RGVFC, where RGVFC need that win more than likely, not only for the division, but also, well, for pride and Copa Tejas.
What's interesting, though, or what worries me actually, is the fact, and we'll get with Bradley in just a little bit to talk about the upcoming match against Orange County SC. By the way, say hi to everybody in the chat, bro.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for having me on.
But one of the things that worries me about this game, you look at the 43rd minute action where Tyler Derrick had that amazing save. It's just worrisome how that low-driven cross went past all 3 center backs and straight towards 29. That is Stefano Pino. and puts him one-on-one against Tyler Derrick. Yeah, he made an outstanding save, and he made another one in the first half where it was like, I don't think any other keeper would have gotten to that ball because it was just so low, like to the base of the post, and he managed to get his fingertips on it and avoid the goal, which just goes to show how good Tyler Derrick is on goal when he's on his A team. Then you look at the goal at the play in the goal. I'm sorry, man. Like, I've talked about Vera, and he's good offensively, but man, can he be a liability defensively? That goal was pretty much on him. You know that. Yeah, I think Albuquerque could have gotten a little bit close to that player that kind of headed the ball back towards the penalty spot. But at the end of the day, man, like Adrian Vera, like he ran past. Was that Jermaine Taylor who scored?
No, that was Kofi Sarkodie.
Kofi Sarkodie,
another Taylor was on the same field as him. How about that?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you know, Dynamo legend. But yeah, so Adrian Vera runs past, you know, good for Sarkodie, you know, that ability to understand the situation, see his surroundings, sees that Adrian Vera is running full speed, makes that pass on the penalty spot and hits that volley past Tyler Derrick. But yeah, man, like there's that little mistake of that lack of awareness by Adrian Vera that cost us that goal. But then you fast forward to our goal. I just gotta say, great vision by Rodrigo Lopez to be able to put that ball from the midfield line all the way into the box, put Juan Carlos Azocar 1v1 against Jermaine Taylor. This time I'm getting it right. Cuts inside to put himself right in front of Panico. Yeah, Panico. And yeah, maybe Panico could have attacked that ball better. But at the end of the day, Juan Carlos Azocar is there to get the shot inside the frame. You never know, because you never know. You can be, the goalkeeper can make a mistake like that, and it'll go in. But you got to get those shots on target. It's imperative the Toros need to get those shots on target. And this is a good example of why that needs to happen for the Toros. So at the end of the day, also there were two instances where the Bold were calling for penalties. In my eyes, I may be biased. I think I'm right. None of those two calls should have been penalties. Thankfully, the referee agrees, didn't call for no penalties. And I have to say, and I told the guys from the striker, I told them, that's on the Austin Bold because they decided to look for that foul, for that penalty, rather than continuing on and trying to get a shot on goal. So if they tied and they're not happy, well, that's on them because those were clear opportunities to score, but they took the wrong decision.
Very true. Of course, for RGFC's goal, some may say that Panico did actually panic at goal.
Get out. Get out. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's really, other than that, there really isn't much to talk about this game against Austin Bold. However, like you mentioned, this draw gave the opportunity for El Paso Locomotive to get past us in the Mountain Division, and they take the top spot by goal difference. But at the end of the day, you know, that goal difference is going to be a key thing to look at. So the Toros need to score more goals if they want to continue, because I don't think El Paso is going to be slowing down anytime soon. So, and the fact that we do have a disadvantage on the number of games played, that's also a thing. So final thoughts, Jacob, before we move on to the next game.
Yeah, final thoughts. Would have liked to see a little bit more from RGVFC. Hopefully, of course, this week we can definitely see a little bit better. Maybe, of course, the first goal. We have not scored a go-ahead goal on the road yet. And what I mean by that is the first goal of a game versus an opponent not at home. So that's something that I definitely like to see. Other than that, I think now that this team has had time off, they're going to be healthy. And Orange County SC played a game on Wednesday, so that's going to be a key factor to look into.
And they're playing today, if I'm not mistaken, right? Brett?
Yes, they are. They kick off in about an hour and a half local time.
So I want to go ahead and welcome. By the way, just to verify, your last name is pronounced Polonsky.
Polonsky.
Polonsky. Okay, I got it right. Brad Polonsky joins us from the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, which is a podcast that is dedicated to talking about Orange County SC. Jacob was actually on their show last night. If you guys missed it, but today we return the favor, per se, lack of a better phrase. But now they have a member of their podcast on our show to talk about Orange County SC and give their point of view to looking forward to this game against RGVFC on Saturday at Orange County SC. So, by the way, we want to welcome you to the Down in the Valley podcast show.
Thank you. Very much appreciate the reciprocal invite. Jacob was a great guest last night in predicting some wild outcomes on our show.
Yeah, you'll understand why in just a little bit. You'll understand why. But kind of talk a little bit about how you got into the podcasting world.
So for me personally, I live up in Reno, Nevada, and when we once upon a time had this miraculous team that played amazing football up here, Reno 1868. My second season of watching the team's third season, we were approached by one of the guys who was a journalist up in Reno wanting to make a team or wanted to make a podcast. So fast forward, do that for a couple of years. Unfortunately, Reno folded, and the guys at Orange and Black Soccer Cast were like, "Hey, come join us." And I said, "Of course I will." So just like a lot of Reno players go to Orange County, it was a no-brainer for me to swap down to Orange County.
Definitely, and man, it was a great pickup for them. I gotta be honest with you. But so moving forward to with this season, how has Orange County performed so far? Like, what are some of the characteristics that you can tell us about the team this season?
So Orange County, their strength right now, well, they're sitting on 21 points in 11 games. I believe something similar to Rio Grande Valley, but Rio
Yes.
Grande Valley has a game in the hole, so we'll see what tonight's result does. Orange County does a really, really good job of stretching the field. We have some fast players. Ronaldo Damas is one of those guys. Unfortunately, he is on loan, or he's on loan. He's on international duty for Haiti in the Gold Cup.
Hmm.
So he's gone. Orange County's picked up a Reno alumni in Aiden Apodaca, who was signed last Thursday, hopefully going to replace that role. But other than that, right now, the big player to watch out for, and I mean this literally too, he's 6'6", he's a striker, Eero Markkanen. He's going to be filling in that front role right now. Don't know if he's going to be starting. He's not necessarily a 90-minute player, but he's scored a bunch of headers so far this season. I believe he has so far 3 goals this year, and I think 2 of those were headers. The other member you got to watch out for is Chris Wehan. He knows how to spread the field. He knows how to distribute. And he's also a good producer. The big storyline for Orange County this year is injuries. So far on injury, you have Adam John, who was injured in the opener. Thomas Voldson, Seth Kasipley got injured in the preseason. Those are 3 big names that you expect to see starting week in and week out that are currently on injury for Orange County. Other than that, we just got our goaltender Patrick Rakowski back from his own injury. And in the game against Sacramento that they played last Saturday, he had 7 saves and a clean sheet that he had to work real hard for.
Hmm. Jacob?
Well, yeah, exactly. They got a very talented team for sure, Orange County, and it's just going to be one of those situations where we'll see what happens, kind of.
So you talked about the strengths. You talked about them having an injury problem. You can say, if I recall from yesterday's show correctly, because I did watch a couple of minutes of the show with you and Jacob, But you all were also talking about how well defensively this team has played this season.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of those points that my brain kind of doesn't really think to bring up. But with a back line of Nathan Smith, Michael Orozco, Robbie Kiernan, Kevin Alston, Brent Richards, Kobe Henry, those are all guys who have seen meaningful minutes so far this season. And a lot of those guys are veterans of the USL for years. You have Michael Orozco, Kevin Alston, Brent Richards played 101 games in Reno, but you also
Mhm.
have the youth. Kobe Henry's a 17-year-old talent who's been seeing a lot of minutes in more recent games too. Um, Nate Smith is a player, I believe, who came in from Europe. Robbie Kiernan is on loan from Rangers FC, who have a affiliation with Orange County.
Mhm.
All these players are very talented, very strong, and they're going to win a lot of challenges. So I don't know what you can expect to see from the back line. I would imagine going with what we've seen recently: Nathan Smith, Michael Roscoe, Robbie Kiernan, and depending on Kevin Alston's injury recently, probably see Brent Richards starting.
Mhm.
But that's a back four that not only will be strong against most opposition, but they can stretch the field. Brent Richards is a very fast individual who can make assists. Nathan Smith is very similar to himself.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Michael Orozco, is he the same player that used to be with Cholos de Tijuana?
I couldn't tell you personally.
So I'm looking at Google, and so
It looks like it.
yeah, so he has Liga MX experience. So that Michael Orozco has Liga MX experience, just like we have Eric Pimentel. They have Michael Orozco, a player that has played with San Luis, Puebla, Chiapas, Tijuana, Lobos Buap before coming in with Orange County SC. He also has some caps with the United States national team
Yeah, I believe
and
30.
the under 23s. So yeah, 29 caps with the United States national team. So they have a very, very experienced player in that back line. So will be interesting to see that how our attackers, whether it's Juan Cusain or Sorto, Cerritos, or Juan Carlos Azocar, how they will fare going up against another veteran player in the opposing back line. So you talked about the strengths of this team. What are their weaknesses so far that you can tell us?
It really comes down to the depth of this team. Right now they are unbeaten through June and the half of July that we've had so far.
Mhm.
Um, there's I can't really sit down and look at and be able to tell you something that they're weak at. Either I'm not good enough of a soccer analyst myself, or this team really has kind of figured out their roles and their individual talents and they've put it all together. Um, but if I were to point something out, it's the midfield has been so depleted due to those injuries that players like Tommy McCabe from North Carolina, um, who wasn't really seeing much going on there. He's a regular starter right now for Orange County. You have Eric Calvillo, who's on loan from San Jose. Um, and then you have Miko Kanungis and Chris Wehan. Other than that, your next midfielder is going to be a 17-year-old kid in Raymond Dreyer, another teenager in Sean McTague. So if you run this team out and make the midfield tired, that's what I would say would be kind of a good strategy against Orange County, because we don't really have that depth there. We have players who can score and stretch the field, but we don't have that solid midfield that, if they start making mistakes, if they start going against their own, making enemies out of themselves, and making mistakes, they're not easy to replace for Orange County right now.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's gonna be and I think if I recall correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys mentioned last night there are many times where you guys only have 16 players that travel because of that lack of depth.
Yeah, so on Saturday in Sacramento, Orange County only had 6 out of the 7 subs on the bench, and they used all 5 of the field players that they had there. The
Mhm.
only sub not being used is Abraham Romero, the backup keeper on the night. So there's not much I can tell you in terms of the depth of this team. There's a lot of question marks. We've had to bring in a couple of players on loans. Um, so you hope that what we have in the conditioning, you have to trust in the conditioning of Braden Cloutier's offense. Um, but you never know. You get a team that stretches the field, has a high pace. Orange County could be in trouble. So far, they haven't been exploited, but you never know.
Yeah, and I noticed also that you guys are pretty much tied for first when it comes to clean sheets at 5. You guys are tied with other teams like I backed out. Austin Bold, who we just tied with, Birmingham Legion, and the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So those are pretty much like Birmingham and Tampa Bay. Um, they've been I guess you can say uh, good higher than average USL teams throughout these couple of weeks, and we know how good Austin's defense can be. We know it firsthand from the couple of games that we've played against them. So I think with Orange County, it'll be more of the same. Now, for us going into this game, you know, we see something similar with Austin Bold, but you also have to add the added stress, the added fatigue of traveling from Texas all the way to Orange County, having to deal with jet lag, having to deal with pretty much being there, the night before, not giving yourself enough time to get used to the environment in Orange County's stadium. So I think it's gonna be difficult for the Toros. I think we do have a good team that can probably show up. I think defensively, we've got one of the best in the league with Arturo Dispe. We've got the veteranship of Eric Pimentel. And Carter Manley has kind of been on fire scoring goals for us recently, even though he's playing as a wing back in this line of 5. And Tyler Derrick, being on fire, on goal. And honestly, he is really not that far behind. He's only, well, as far as clean sheets is concerned, because he's got 3. And you guys have 5 clean sheets. I think the key for us would be what can they do? Because you can't rely all the time on a 41-year-old to bring in the spark in the offense. Obviously, we've got Juan Carlos Azocar. It'd be great to see him start once again. I think he plays really well, but at home but I think he comes in clutch in away games. That game against San Antonio, this game against El Paso, he scored goals that rescued a point for this team. So he's going to be a player to look out for, I think, if you're Orange County SC. Vicente Sanchez, like I said, coming in off of a substitution in the second half, probably about the 65th minute. That'll be another player to look out for. Even at his 41 years of age, that man still has that Charruan spark in his soccer game. But I want to look at the historical statistics or historical fixtures between Orange County and RGVFC. So I want to look at specifically at Orange County games at where we play away. We've played you guys 5 times at y'all stadium, including the time when y'all were Orange County Blues still. Historically, away, it's pretty much dead even. 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw, or actually 2 wins and 2 losses for the Toros. We had a 1-0 win over an Orange County Blues in 2016, 2017 4-0 loss, and then in 2018 a 2-0 win over Orange County SC, And then in 2019, 2-1 loss against Orange County. 2020, we didn't have a chance to play each other. So there's that. But historically, I think away, we've had it's been dead even. At home, it's a completely different animal. But I think for you guys, if we want to go base yourself on this, I think for Orange County's cause, I think it's a good thing for y'all that we're going to be playing this game at your stadium and not at HEB Park.
Yeah, me personally, I can't really attest to a lot of those historical things, mostly because I've only been covering them for this season, and other than that, I'd really only talk Orange County whenever Reno would play them. So I wish I had that ability to look historically and say, Rio Grande Valley's either challenged us or been a piece of cake for Orange County at home. But one thing I wanted to add on is this is a team you talked about traveling and the what's the word I'm looking for here? The fatigue of moving halfway across the country and then playing the next day in a city with a completely different climate from you guys. This Orange County team has played. This is going to be, you guys will be game 5 of July in under 3 weeks. They played the first day of July, a Thursday. They played a Tuesday, a Saturday. They're playing today on a Wednesday. So they're playing 4 games in 2 weeks. And it's going to be interesting to see, especially with this depth. Can they keep up the effort playing 2 in a week or 3 in a week span? A Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday uh, span of games, because this is a team that's playing 7 games in July.
Mhm.
So very busy, very, very busy workload going on right now for Orange County. See if they can keep it up.
And especially when you add to the fact, the lack of depth in your roster, I think this is one of those parts in the calendar where you're like, you just want it to be over. Y'all can get some rest. And honestly, like I said, with this Toros team being so different, we really can't, for one side or the other, we really can't base a lot on historical advances. I just thought it was interesting, just give the past fixtures. But because of how different this team is compared to the previous years, there isn't a not a standard, but there's no way we can compare, past performances to how this team can perform this year. But it will definitely be an interesting match to see which defense will be able to pretty much stand out in this match. And it's really gonna have to rely on who can break the other's defense quicker if they can, because of how well defensively both teams can be. And with what we were talking about, how the offense for the RGV works, then I think there might be a little bit of an advantage towards Orange County, in my opinion. I don't know what Jacob thinks, but I think in that aspect, I haven't watched, or to be honest, I haven't watched Orange County's games, so I have no idea how they are attacking wise. But I do think in that aspect, if you're going to be playing the young guys like Cerritos and Sorto, it gives a huge disadvantage for the Toros, especially with the fact of how they struggle to keep those shots inside of the goal. Jacob, you have anything you want to add before we go into our predictions?
Yeah, I think kind of like you said, it's just Toros need to hit it on target. That's going to be the biggest thing. Make the keeper work on the road. But it's just going to be one of those situations. It's going to be a defensive match. And I hope that the Toros are up for the challenge. I really do, because you just cannot allow Orange County to have that advantage. Luckily, I really do think that the rest has been the biggest thing that's going to keep RGVFC as fresh as possible. They just need to make a spark in the first half. I think RGVFC just need to make a spark in the first half against OCSC to see if that kind of makes the difference. And I mean, just other than that, they're just gonna have to show up, basically show up once again on the road, and this time really just keep it. Even if they can keep it 0-0, that's still gonna be big because yes, we have the depth, so that's going to be a plus. We won't necessarily have to use all of our subs. It's also going to be cooler temperature, as in, of course, the dry heat plays a big factor into anything, and it's going to be in the evening, so that's a plus too. It's just one of those situations. Just make Orange County work, and if Orange County aren't able to get away with a couple of things, then that's going to be even bigger too.
And Brad, anything you wanna add before we move on to predictions?
Don't allow Orange County to score early. They play really well when ahead.
And considering how we struggle offensively when we are in that position, I think that is a piece of advice that the Toros need to hit. So Wilmer, if you're listening to this, listen to Brad, and don't allow an early goal, because we already know historically how this team has performed in those situations. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So thank you, Brad, for that piece of advice. And by the way, my advice to you guys is, I hope I don't get flamed for this, but my advice for Orange County is lure our wingers towards the wings. Like, it sounds stupid, but lead the wingers towards the wings because their crossing accuracy is horrible. If you can, if you can keep those wingers, if you can force them towards the wings and force them to make crosses, you're pretty much set defensively, because their crossing accuracy is not that great, especially when they try to go for the driven crosses. I think we've had games where we had like 11-point-something% crossing accuracy, which is like, and I think that was the one against Tulsa. The game we lost against Tulsa, it was like that, where it was just cross, and nothing could be done offensively. The goal came because they, instead of crossing, they gave the Tulsa defense gave them the opportunity in the space to shoot. But if you can keep them, just like Austin did in the game at home and against FC Tulsa, if you can keep the wingers, the ball towards the wingers and force them to cross, you're set there. But so that's, you gave me advice, I'm giving you all advice as well. So it's reciprocal here at Down in the Valley. But the final segment for today, we've got predictions and our traditional and tradition here in Down in the Valley and the Peel, and it's time F in the chat. Bold predictions. So we'll start with predictions, and we will let our guest have the honors first.
All right. I predicted on the Orange and Black Soccer Cast show a 2-0 victory for Orange County, and I think just, for repetitive sake, I have to go with that again here. I think Orange County is just in such good form right now that, despite them being hurt, short on men, I think that Orange County has just performed so well. Now, obviously, this is going against, I don't know exactly how good of a form RGV is too, because 21 points in 12 games is also pretty good. But I'm just basing it on what I see for Orange County.
Jacob?
Yeah, all right. So I think it's going to be a draw. And I think it's going to be 2-2. Final score, 2-2 draw. Nothing crazy happens. Just one of those
run-of-the-mill
situations where I
draws.
think RGVFC have to come back from behind like they constantly have been almost able to do on the road.
I'm going to have to agree with Jacob with a draw, but I think it's going to be more of a 1-1. A 1-1 draw, mostly because of how good both defenses are, and I think both defenses, it's going to be a similar game against Austin Bold. It's going to be pretty much very balanced. Both defenses are going to be making, good stops on the offense. They might get a couple of saves by Tyler Derrick. I think there's going to be a difference where they're going to have more shots on target, where Tyler Derrick is going to be a factor for this game to keep us pretty much on par. But I think at the end of the day, they're gonna be able to perform just enough to squeak in that 1-1 draw. And once again, I think it'll be coming from behind. because that's just the way the tendency of RGV when they play away. They've done it against El Paso where they lost. They've done it against Austin Bold. They were coming from behind against Miami FC as well. Austin Bold, like I said, so the tendency out away is for the Toros to get scored on first and then somehow either get close or actually make a comeback from behind. So I don't think we'll see anything different against Orange County SC. So 1-1 is my regular prediction. Now, bold prediction. Now, I told you this is the reason why Jacob went all out in his predictions last night. So basically, a bold prediction is just anything silly, like any outrageous thing that you can think of. The goalie scores or something like that. Like, let your imagination wander about this bold prediction right here.
All right, let's see. Really bold prediction. Someone chips it over the keeper from midfield this game. I think that would be a fun one to see. Just a midfield shot that goes in over the keeper.
Are you telling me that they're going to go full Hartford Athletic against New York Red Bulls 2?
No, that was my boy Thomas Janjigian, and that wasn't from range. I'm talking more like Wayne Rooney scoring for Everton a couple years ago.
Oh,
that hat-trick goal he had.
Yeah. Oh, that would be interesting to see. And what would be the score for your bold prediction?
A crazy game. I think a crazy game with how you said both defensives have been performing. 3-3.
3-3. Okay.
Mhm.
Jacob, your bold prediction.
So here it goes. My bold prediction. Yes, gonna kind of keep it like I did last night for. Well, this was just Ray Zamora's pick. He decided to go crazy. I don't know what was up with him yesterday. Decided to go 5-5, but yeah, I'm gonna say 5-5 here, and both teams. Yeah, it's gonna get chippy. Red cards issued out to both teams.
Final score for your bold prediction?
Yeah, 5-5.
5-5. My bold prediction is going to be that. Hear me out.
Let it flow.
Diego Rocha, who is a former RGBC Academy player, gets subbed in the last couple of minutes, and the Toros get a 3-2 win at the death, scored by Diego Rocha off of a corner kick.
Wow.
That's my bold prediction, and that'll be a way to baptize himself within the Toros fan base. And in the chat we've got Mike Reyes saying OC1 RGVFC 2 bold prediction, Toros 4 OC2, OC with a red card. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens on Saturday. But I think your focus is going to be right now against who is it? You say
a San Diego team that has
San Diego, and they've been on
San
fire.
Diego team that's also challenging. Yeah, they've been on fire too, challenging for the top two.
So it's gonna be an interesting match, and I think it's gonna affect them fitness wise with a short turnaround against the Toros. So we'll see how they do. But in the meantime, Brad, thank you so much for accepting the invite to come on the show.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully it's not the last. Hopefully it's the first of many of guest appearances on the show whenever we play you guys in the future. And hopefully we can see like how it used to be in the 2022 season, where it's like the whole Western Conference playing against each other.
COVID's no longer a thing next season, and we can go back to seeing West Coast and East Coast and keeping hopefully interconference results. I really like seeing games like Phoenix versus Charlotte, and soon what's their name, Charleston versus Orange County later on this month or early next month. So games like that are really cool to see.
And Code Awesome, he asked, what spot do we need to get into? Do we get in the division to make it to playoffs? Fourth. If we can, fourth and above, we're in playoffs. So that's the goal. We are above it. We are in second place at this moment. And you also have to remember that home field advantage is going to be very important. So if we can stay in first or maybe even second place, that gives you an advantage going into the playoffs.
Exactly.
So
I'd love to see 10,000 there in the stands. Orange finally fill it out, because I think that's really how we're going to get fans in the stands. Not only that, just being able to make the playoffs, because yeah, right now I don't really think it's Toros can say all they want that it's COVID related. Why there's only 4,000 tickets available? No, there's 4,000 tickets available because we can't sell that right now. So just hopefully that's going to be a different. Yeah, it's a shot, I know, but hey, are we averaging 2,000? Yes, we are.
Hey, that's 2,000 more fans than LA Galaxy 2 will see all season.
you see, so it's funny because Austin Bold, they only got 600 and some last Wednesday for their game against the Toros, which really isn't that great. That's less than two teams. But Bradley, where can they find you on social media or anywhere? Plug away.
So I don't know. Can they see my name like Zoom on your guys's? No, they cannot. You can find me at Pal on the Sky. My last name is Polonsky. Just add a "the" to it. It's exactly how it sounds like. Pal on the Sky.
And of course, y'all's podcast
Orange and
is
Black Soccer Cast at OCSC Soccer Cast on the Twitter machines, and basically anywhere you can find it on listening to us. YouTube.
Jacob, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at JacobYoung456. And of course, if you want to see some mediocre racing content, then you can head over to twitch.tv/theoverreactedgamer.
And of course, you can find me at eochoa_8. You can also follow, obviously, the Down in the Valley accounts at Down in the RGV on Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook.com/Down in the Valley. You can check out our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and of course on the BGNFM's website. We want to thank the Beautiful Game Network for all of their support. Also, their sponsors, Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC, our personal sponsor, Natural Beauty Spa, and all of our patrons. Who, by the way, we have a new patron. Sign up today. We want to thank Blues Fan for being the newest patron for the Down in the Valley podcast. He joined the Rep the 956 tier. So be on the lookout for that. Send me, if you're still on, send me your address so I can send you the stickers of the Down in the Valley podcast. And of course, you can also check out my articles on the Striker Texas. So check out the website, thestrikertexas.com. And, so you guys don't miss any of my game recaps covering the Toros. And like I said, as when we started, there's a good article that's on my mind right now that I still need to put it on my little laptop and then publish it. But you guys are going to love it. And it's pretty much going to explain why this team is a lot better this year than in the previous years. If you guys have followed the podcast, you guys already know, because we talk about it ad nauseum. But be sure to share all of this stuff, support Jacob, and obviously give a warm welcome to Brad Polonsky for his debut as a guest here in the Down the Valley podcast. Hopefully we'll see each other next week. Hopefully we'll talk. Sorry, Brad, but hopefully we'll talk some good news of a win over OCSC next week.
You can have me back if Orange County wins.
But if not, if Orange County does get the win, we'll still be on. And we'll get our reactions. And like I said, be sure to share all of our podcasts with all of your friends. Let's grow this community together. So thank you all. Be safe out there. Keep on wearing your mask and drink plenty of water, because it is definitely humid here in the Rio Grande Valley. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.